DJ Tom.
Yo, it's your boy Mike G. Welcome to the Rebroadcast Live, hosted by
Jay,
the Gemini Beauty from the Dirty West, and
DJ Tom Tom
from the Big D. Now, let's get into it. Call 469-222-9056 to come on live with us right now.
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Yeah!
What up, what up, what up? We are here once again. We are here Saturday, I guess Sunday morning, if you really want to call it Saturday morning. Welcome to the Raw Podcast Live with Jay and DJ Tom Tom. What's up, Jay? How you doing tonight, ma'am?
I'm feeling great.
She is feeling great. That is wonderful. While we feel great, we have a interesting topic. We didn't get to touch on this last week. We were consumed by life that happens, and we love it. But you gotta. But tonight, we have a little topic on abortion, since it seems to be quite a hot topic all across this country. So let us know, Ebony, what's going on out there?
They're trying to ban abortions. These little dick motherfuckers. Let me not say that. The Congress is trying to ban abortions for women, regardless of the situation, and that just ain't right.
I mean, why ain't it right?
Because there's rapes, there's freaking health complications, there's the fact that there's ill-fit mothers out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many causes that can come into play with that abortion law that might get passed, and they're using the religious beliefs to press not the abortion thing.
Yeah, I think it's a foul idea too. I mean, it takes us way back. You know, it kind of reverses the progress that we've had in this country as well. Like, I guess from a political standpoint, it looks to me like lessening the ability for a woman to have a choice.
My opinion is take your religion out of it and put science into it.
Yes.
Because if you start bringing up the scientific facts about abortion and about why women might want to get abortion, or sometimes women miscarry, which might be considered abortion.
Right.
But there's a lot of the factors that go into abortion, not just fucking, oh, well, I'm a Christian, that's a sin, you can't have an abortion.
Yeah, I mean, it seems a little, like, ridiculous because, I mean, I agree with you. Who are you to say what a woman should go through and can't sometimes?
Mm-hmm. And I know there's a lot of men in the Congress that are pro-abortion, and I know there's a lot of men who aren't. There's a lot of women who are, and this is what baffles me, I guess you could say, is there's a lot of women who are against abortion.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other day, this woman comes in, and I'm not gonna name her name,
Mm-hmm.
but it rhymes with licorice, and she was going on a rant about how she got into an argument about these women who were pro-abortion, and she wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But she had an abortion about 30 years ago.
What a hypocrite.
No, like, how are you gonna be like, no, just because you slept with Donner, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Jensen, doesn't mean you can get an abortion. Well, isn't that why you got an abortion, honey bunny?
Can't you at least get the reindeer's names right, Ebony. Jesus.
No, even when I was younger singing that song, I was just like,
whoever they are. But
I
see
was
that,
sounding like that.
but that's what ends up happening to some of these kids sometimes. Like, there are so many kids that end up in a system, you know, that because of like you said, you know, unfit mothers, you know, uneducated people that bring children into the world, or people who just didn't make it trying to carry the child, you know, and it wasn't even their choice.
They're trying to say contraceptives are an abortion too.
No.
How the fuck? Like, the sperm ain't hit the egg yet. How was it an abortion?
See, you weren't born in the early 90s, you weren't around, but like, contraception was the big push by Congress back then. See, that's what's so crazy about how the world works these days versus what we were progressing towards before.
Okay, let's look at these statistics real quick.
Okay.
So this is the abortion rate. All right, so in 1970, it was at about 13.5 to 14%. And then we fast forward to about 1980, 25%. Then we push to 1996, 21%. Then we push all the way to 2010, 13%. And then 2018, 11.3.
So
We're
it's
at the
lowest
abortion rate.
since the 70s.
Yes, and that's only on record.
Well, that's a
That's
big deal.
only
That's a big
on
deal.
record.
Yeah, that's a great big deal.
Because if you go back, because I'm a real history buff,
No.
if you go back even to ancient Egypt, they used contraceptives back then.
Is that sheepskin?
Nasty, but that's not here or there. Ain't nobody putting a goat in me.
Well, the interesting thing is, and you know, I mean, the push for contraception has seemed to be lessened so much over, I would say, the past 20 years at least. Because it used to be like the biggest push out there, like everywhere, safe sex, you know, however it be.
If you look at it, right, back in the 1950s, everybody wanted a big old family. Everybody didn't believe in that shit. They wanted 10 kids all the way to 20 kids. If you look at it now, in like 2022, the younger generation, which I happen to be a part of,
Yes.
most of us don't want kids. Some of us just want to be like kidless forever.
And
a
why
lot of
is that
people-
though?
We can't afford housing. We can hardly afford food. We can hardly afford freaking paying our vehicles. We can't hardly go to school. We can hardly do anything in this environment we are put in.
Right.
And it's not because, oh, we're lazy. It's because everything has skyrocketed.
Yeah. That's a whole different topic on that too, how everything is skyrocketed, which that was actually the topic I was hoping to touch on this week, but we can possibly touch on that next week, how everything is skyrocketed. And there's a reason why and everything, and that's more my world, is the political world. And that's why I get into the whole thing, is where people come together to fight a cause. You know, like today, for instance, there were marches all across this country in support of abortion rights.
I just don't think, this is my honest opinion, I don't think men in general should have the right to a woman's body. Because you don't know what kind of health problem she has. You don't know what type of anything is going on in her life. Because most men fuck you and dip. And I just don't think men should have, unless you're married. That's when the conversation should come up about, like, you know,
Choices.
if you're married. Yeah.
Yes, true. But
Other than
again,
that, that's business.
But again, I mean, right, agreed. That's people's personal business. And, you know, most of this argument comes from the right-wing side, where, you know, there's a whole world to this that people don't really think about, like you were touching base on, is affordability of a child. You know, and if you can't afford it yourself, how are you to realistically be able to afford a child that needs to eat all day, that shits all day, that, you know, can get sick at any moment?
Since I was about 18 and a half, moved out of my mama's house, I have, the only times I've really been able to actually eat, which you can't tell because now I'm able to, which I was able to eat at work, go to work for 8 hours a day, and not eat until I go back to work. If you look at me now, I don't have any furniture because that shit's like $500 per thing, including a fucking like little end table.
Yeah.
Freaking, it's just too expensive to live for us younger people. Yes, I know college, College takes 4+ years to get a good job.
Yes.
And even if you have a good job, I've seen a lot of people who work in the oil field who are unable to pay for things they won't.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to live in poverty. Like, you can live like $300 rent, but you're gonna have roaches like laying next to you, cuddled up. You're gonna have rats. The shit in your house ain't gonna work. You ain't gonna have no furniture, and still have like money to spend. But most of us younger people are really just trying to live. And adding a baby to that, you gotta think about $30 formula that'll last maybe 3 or 4 days. You have to think about diapers that'll last maybe a week if you buy the big pack.
If
you
even.
Think about baby clothes, all this other shit.
Okay,
it's just too expensive.
so let's think about the current events along with what you were just saying. I mean, they are having a shortage of baby formula on shelves now, you know, and they are going to go back into production. However, you know, our bureaucracy federally has shut down that system. So now, you know, where do you lie in this argument? Like, it's such a head scratcher where I'm like, it should be the choice, and the way people look at it is just, I think, incorrect. And there has to be an evolution of thought, how we have to be able to consider everything involved.
It's just a lot that you have to think of, which they are not, because of their religious beliefs. If you personally want to go have 13 kids and can barely even feed them, and you have to starve, go do it. That's not me, that's you, honey.
Have at it.
So freaking, but me personally, I don't want to have a kid until I'm financially stable enough to have a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I've often argued that there should be an education of sorts for people who want to have children, and I know I've said this probably 100 times to you in private conversation, but it's just the way to go about it, you know. Like, we have to be educated to be able to drive or do any other thing in life that's worth something, you know. And when you're raising children, you know, you have to think about the people who are going to be now in the future doing things. So, like, do we want to...
These people think it's like motherhood comes naturally, which it doesn't.
Well, no,
I mean,
I think...
but taking care of a baby is way different. Like, I know this girl who's pregnant right now, and I fear for her because she is still a baby. So I just don't... She is still a baby, so how is she going to take care of a baby if she's still a baby? You feel what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like, it's hard to talk about that subject without putting that person out there.
Right.
But I have fear for her. And, like, religious beliefs and all that shit come into play. Because if, let's say I got pregnant and I had to go get an abortion, I came home and told my folks,
oh man,
that would be like a whole mess.
Yeah.
A whole mess.
Big time.
So I understand where she might like fear that, or she might just want to keep the baby, but she is not financially stable. She's still living with her parents. She don't have a vehicle. I'm sorry for putting you out there if you listen to this, but I really fear for you.
But it's out of concern. It's out of concern.
It really is. Like, we're not the closest, but I do, like, care for her so much. It makes me, like, very fearful.
Yeah. You want her to be okay. You want her to be able to raise the child. That's really what it's about. You know, and it's just the statistics are stacked against you when it's that way.
I mean, let me tell you a little story about my mom. So my mom, she would have to starve. She decided to go out there and have 4 kids. She decided she had to work about 2 to 3 jobs and still starve to let us eat. And even when we didn't even eat steak. We had to eat like beans, meat, and cornbread. That's what we would eat. So, and then when we went to our grandmas and grandpas, we always had like meat and vegetables. Like, you know, like ground beef, like green beans, corn, with some tomato sauce and stuff like that. That's what we would eat, because even for my grandparents, while my mom was at work, that shit was hard.
Yeah.
So you have to think about all that shit.
Yeah. And for people like your mother, abortion is not an option.
She is not pro-abortion.
She is pro-life all the way.
Let's talk about some side effects real quick about abortion.
Okay.
So we're not just one-sided.
True. Let's do that.
Some common side effects are bleeding that lasts 14 to 21 days, probably more or less, give or take. Cramping, dizziness, drowsiness, nausea, and vomiting, which come with period. If you ever had a period, you know that shit sometimes happens. I had an irregular period that lasted about 3 months.
I've never had a period.
Well, I have. The longest one I've had was like 3 months, and then I got on birth control, which is contraceptive, and it really helped with all these symptoms. Because I used to be like pale in the face because it hurt so bad. These are some possible complications: damage to the womb or cervix, excessive bleeding, incomplete abortion requiring an additional surgical abortion procedure, infection of the uterus or fallopian tubes, scarring of the inside of the uterus, sepsis or sepsis shock, uterine perforation, or death. But those are very low.
Right. What about the mental effects? See, that's the other part that I think people don't realize either.
The mental effect of that come with depression and like everything that falls under the depression category.
Yeah.
Like, you could be sad, you can like mourn, you know, because you are losing something that is part of you.
Yeah.
And that is a real thing, but at the end of the day, you did what was right for you. So don't ever feel that type of way if you had an abortion.
So let's play both sides here. Let's say, for instance, we're on the side of being pro-life. You know, what would you think would be positives out of it?
A happier, like, this is gonna sound so messed up, and I told you about this last time, but the pro is you aren't gonna have any kids in foster homes. You aren't gonna have any parent that is ill fit, making their child so fucking messed up in their head.
Right.
Because you don't want them, and you decided to have them because, you know, you were fucking sleeping Donna Dance Prancer. And I just know a few people that have that issue, and it hurts me to see them like that because their mother did not want them, and they have so many mental issues.
I think this whole thing it's an attack on minorities still. Women are minorities, just like we had to deal with, well, not had to, still dealing with black folk minority shit. And it's just a way to, again, push the minorities out of the system to not be able to have a say-so.
Like, what was I forgot what old people had a say in a while back that was like a huge Dang it, Ivory, it's too late, girl.
No, she can get on if she wants.
Well, she has to still set up that thing, and I don't want to freaking
Oh, it's okay.
go back and forth. So, if she calls again, I'll just add her.
That's cool.
But, what was I even saying?
The old
It's
people.
old people. And, it's about the housing cost and stuff like that.
Mm.
Where they have a say in something, where they won't even be alive to fucking see. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're old as fuck trying to have an opinion on these younger people. They're always trying to push their beliefs and their ways on the younger generation when it's not going to happen because the younger generation are more stubborn.
Well, the younger generation are the cause for progress. And old people don't like change because they decided to make changes back then and they wanted to stay that way.
Like I said before, if you take your religious belief out of that and you put it in scientific facts, it's gonna be pro-abortion. Like, you're just like, well, I
But
believe
you
in
can
God.
be a person of God, because I believe in God. I wouldn't say I'm a religious person, but I also believe in a person's health and ability, you know, because
Well,
life brought into this world. Look, I'm very strong on this opinion, and I will say that I'm not against children being born, but I'm also realistic at the point where I'm like, sometimes shit happens, and I think that it's an understanding between all of us where we can understand in life in our own ways that shit just happens.
So I'm going to touch up on some health risks that can come into play. You asked about the mental health.
Yes.
And it's basically what I said about everything that falls under the depression category.
Mm-hmm.
It's researchers suggest that women who had abortions may be at risk of mental health problems. Women who have undergone an abortion experience or increased risk of mental health problems. And nearly 10% of the incident of mental health problems was shown to be attributable.
Attributed.
It says a bull.
Oh,
but
attributable.
Some women have experienced some of these symptoms: regret, grief, sadness / depression, anxiety, guilt / shame, and suicidal thoughts.
Yep.
And then this is another thing: as a woman who is infertile, or I might just be very hard at having kids, you can have infertility issues.
Yeah.
It can
So what happens to then, I mean, this can really raise a lot of questions, because, you know, utopal pregnancies where it happens a lot with young girls, and even women into their early 30s where they just lose the baby. You know, but we're talking about serious, like, criminal punishment here. Let's get real.
So they're saying, okay, I'm just going to bring up my personal experience. When I was about 19 years old, I had a miscarriage. And was I sad about it? I wasn't really taught anything about that.
Right.
You know, I couldn't really feel, because I didn't even know I was pregnant until, I don't want to get disgusting, but this big old blood clot the size of, I don't know, probably about my hand,
Yeah.
my palm, came out of me.
Oh God.
And so there's other things that happened during that process, but I had a miscarriage, and I could have been taken to jail if this law was forced on back then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they don't know if it was like me doing it purposely.
Right.
So.
Well, this used to be. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I think that contributes to my fertility issues, is that one abortion, because I was young. I wasn't taught about any of this, not even by my own mother.
Right.
So when it happened, I was very, very scared. And yeah, so I'm not going to get too into that. But you can have from an abortion, you could have infertility and future childbearing issues. It is Asherman syndrome, which increases the risk of subsequent mid-trimester spontaneous abortions and low birth weight deliveries. Incompetent cervix, which can have a birth risk of abortion, surgical abortion. And that is 75% of women who undergo forced dilation for abortion. So, I didn't know you could get an STD from abortion.
See, I didn't either. See how informational this can be? I want to show a little clip from today. I was at work all day and it seemed like nothing but this topic was on the screen. Every time I went out into the dining room, it was like everything on the news was about the abortion thing. I was like, damn, we are really going to hit on a fucking topic tonight. So I was really excited about it. So let me just show you kind of what I saw earlier today. I was like, well, this is what we're doing. So let's do it.
Okay.
All right. So can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me play it now. How do I play it? Oh yeah, I guess with my hands.
We begin with demonstrations
Can you hear
in
it?
cities across the United States Saturday in support of abortion rights. In Washington, organizers of the Bands Off Our Bodies rally marched from the Washington Monument to the Supreme Court. Several members of Congress were there, including California Congresswoman Barbara Lee.
Now, we all know that this is a crisis moment. The radical Supreme Court justices and right-wing extremists are making it clear that they won't stop until a nationwide ban is enacted. But we are here to say loudly and clearly, keep these bans off our bodies.
The rallies are in response to a leaked Supreme Court draft opinion that showed the justices are likely to overturn Roe v. Wade. Earlier, I spoke with CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Skanga. She was at the Bands Off Our Bodies march in Washington. Nicole, you've been on the ground covering the rally in Washington. Tell us about the mood of the crowd and what attendees have been telling you.
Yeah, a lot of Planned Parenthood, Women's March, and other abortion rights activists have descended on the Washington Mall now. They are protesting bans off our bodies at this march today. It has been 11 days since that leaked Supreme Court draft opinion was first reported by Politico, and in the days after that leaked draft opinion got out, this whole movement really took shape, Lana. I want you to take a listen to one of the organizers, Kelly Robinson, executive director of the Planned Parenthood Action Fund. She told me that their message is simple here today: keep your bans off of our bodies. And they're arguing here that the Supreme Court has rolled back a constitutional right to abortion. Take a listen.
Always fight for what we know is just, and that includes abortion.
We're out here with a simple, clear, and powerful message. Keep your bans off of our bodies. The Supreme Court leaked their draft opinion that really showed what their intention is: to roll back our fundamental right to abortion access. The first time they've ever rolled back a constitutional right. People are angry, they're fired up. This is a rally where we're going to make our voices heard.
Now, I have a question. Why all of a sudden was this such an issue now?
I have no idea.
Because it seems to just be out of left field.
It just like real spontaneous, huh?
Yeah, it's very like, let's pick something that'll piss people off.
Because I didn't even know about it until about 2 weeks ago, and I asked you about it. No, I asked my aunt. I was like, because I seen a post on Facebook, and I was like, is there something going on with the abortion? She was like, yeah, they're trying to change the law to where you can't have abortions all over the United States. And I was like,
But they need to think about it in this way too. Like, I mean, I have my own personal experience with abortion. Again, I can't get pregnant. However, I went with a friend when she was 19 years old to get an abortion at a clinic in Lubbock, Texas. And in the Bible Belt of fucking the country, like, you don't do that, you know, and it's just, you're a slut and you're this and that and everything else, you know, every name in the book. And she asked me to go with her, and I guess I really didn't understand the how volatile of a fucking environment that really can be.
Let's talk about the people who fucking harass people who go and get abortions.
Well, that's exactly what I'm getting to, is that, like, she walked up to this clinic and they were yelling at her. There were people out there with, like, these picket signs screaming at her how she's against God, she's a baby killer, and all these, you know, crazy things. But what these people didn't understand is that she got pregnant from a guy that was verbally, mentally, emotionally, any way you could think of, physically abusive to her. And she wanted nothing to do with the fact that it would connect in some way to him.
And
You
freaking,
know?
that's how most women are, though. Like, these men take a whole mental toll on you, where you hate yourself, and then for you to bring in someone that looks just like him,
Yeah.
that's a whole thing, you know,
Yeah.
all by itself.
Well, that's what I'm getting to, is the whole psychology of it, is like, you know, what lies behind the eyes in the brain as far as what's affecting you in every single which way that you move. Like, this girl was so distraught over how she was treated and talked about by her peers, that it was like she felt like such a shameful person. And she has two beautiful daughters now that are growing up and, you know, becoming their young lady selves. But it was with the man that she really wanted to be with.
Like, it's not like we're doing it for shits and the giggles, you know? Like, who wants to have the risk? Did you know you can possibly get breast cancer from this?
Right.
Who wants to run the risk of infertility, STDs, freaking mental health issues, freaking I forgot what I said, but infertility, basically, when you can have a beautiful life later.
Right.
We're not doing it for shits and giggles. But what I heard from that lady that went into the store that rhymes with licorice, she was having a blast arguing with these ladies about abortion. Who, I mean, those ladies didn't even have an abortion. They were just like pro-abortion.
Oh.
She had an abortion, and she was talking so much mess, giggling and bragging about it. That's what I don't get. How are you gonna brag about that shit? Like, oh yeah, I told him off, when you had an abortion.
Yeah.
It don't make sense.
It doesn't
And
make
I'm like-
sense.
And I told her, I was like, because you already know my standpoint on that shit.
I do.
And I told her, I was like, I'm not gonna bring up it's her body. You ain't got no right for her body. But I am gonna tell you, you really need to have a sit down with somebody about that shit instead of just straight up arguing about it, because it's not gonna get nowhere.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I can change my mind. Well, I was like, I have a homeboy who I kind of changed his mind on it when he was against abortion. And I was like, because we had a fucking sit down and we talked about it and
Right.
we brought all these facts about it. It wasn't me arguing with him. It was us actually listening to each other.
That's right. That's how we have conversations in this world.
Let's talk about rape.
Okay.
Every 68 seconds, someone is raped.
Every
Every
68 seconds. How about out of those rapes, how many become pregnant? Because that would be a good statistic to throw on top of that, because then that would mean that if these women said, I shouldn't have this child because I was raped, would mean that, oh, well, there's the appearance. Hey, Marley. Mally.
I know, he's making his guest appearance already.
Well, at least he waited till more than halfway through. I can't believe we're already at almost 40 minutes. Jesus.
Yeah, okay. Rape contraception begins between 25,000 and 32,000 times each year.
Wow.
Okay. Over 32,000 pregnancies.
From rapes.
So, for rapes, yeah.
That's a lot.
Like, it's not as much as people... It's 32,000 compared to the whole population of the United States isn't a lot, but for the women...
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a fuck ton.
Yeah, it is.
When it should be 0.
Right, because, I mean... Like, what the fuck? Like... Again, I think about the friend that I was there in that situation where I was 18 years old, you know, as a male, gay male at that, going, I don't understand what all's going on. But I knew as far as much to say, like, I was on the fence. You know, I was like, I don't necessarily like kids.
Me neither.
But kids are the future of this world. But
I was raped twice. Okay. If I would have got pregnant through those rapes, I would have went and had an abortion. No ifs, ands, buts, or anything about it.
Yeah.
I would have not carried the child that I know the person who raped me planted in me.
Right.
I would have not done it. That carries so much pain in me. And people were like, I had this one best friend, quotation marks, who said, it's your fault because look at how you dress. How I dress. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing fucking bras and panties outside.
That's not an invitation. Yeah. That's not
So,
like, hey, I'm wearing a sign that says rape me.
I mean, like, okay, I know this is gonna sound so fucked up, but for people who believe that, babies who are like 5 to 10 years old go to the fucking beach wearing their little bikinis and go swimming. Do you believe because of what they're wearing, they deserve to be raped?
Amen.
Just because I'm a fucking grown-ass woman, that I deserved it. You know? Nobody deserves to be raped. And that was like the most painful shit I ever heard, because I was friends with this guy for like 7 or 8 years of my life. And to hear that come out of his fucking mouth, you know?
Yeah.
The person I believe I could fucking go to and talk to when I had nobody told me I deserved it.
Yeah. That's
So
not a friend, first of all.
no, and shortly after that, we stopped being friends, because I was like, I can't live with somebody like that in my life telling me I deserved it.
No.
But anyways, let's get past that subject, because that's kind of emotional. Of him, I'm still down to talk about this. So 12 to 17 years old, 15% of them get raped. 34% is 54. 18 to 34 years old is 54%. 35 to 64 is 28%. 65 plus is 3%. So what you're seeing is basically young people who are becoming adults are the majority to get raped.
Yeah.
And 1 out of 6 women are raped. Well, yeah, 1 out of 6 women are raped. 14.8% are completed. 2.8 is attempted.
14.8% are completed pregnancies.
Rapes.
Oh,
It's rape.
rapes. Okay.
Which is a lot out of 1 out of 6, you know. And then college students are 5 times at risk. This is men. This ain't women anymore. This is men. college students 18 to 24 are 5 times more likely to get raped than non-students.
But Ebony, no one's talking about the real issue, and that is how these kids brought into this world grow into this world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and because look, yes, I can honor the fact what you say, that women are very crucial and integral and the deciding factor as how their bodies should go through what they go through. But on the other end of it, there is the child. And when these children are come to be born, I'm left with the question of what now?
You know how I brought up the fact that some women aren't ready to be mothers?
Right.
Let's talk about how many kids ages from 15 to 25 are in the jail system because of their upbringing.
Right.
What
Exactly.
they think is right isn't right, but they do it because of their upbringing.
They don't graduate. They don't go to school. They, you know, there's a whole lot of mess of problems that come with it.
Their mother can't feed them, so they go steal, get in trouble, and they're in and out of the justice system, you know?
And again, it's not to throw assumption that just because a child is born this way that it's gonna be this way. But I mean, look at the statistics. It's the facts are in the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. 90. Let's talk about the percentages again. 94% of women who are raped deal with symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD), and then 30% of women deal with it. Okay, let me add the weeks. 2 weeks following the rape. 30% are 9 months after the rape. 33% are think of suicide.
Yeah.
13% actually attempt suicide.
Jesus.
70% freaking experience moderate to severe distress. It's like, let's say I see men, right? And I'm afraid to even be touched for years to come because of that.
Right.
And then
it leaves you affected.
And most women become addicted, and men, because I know it's harder for men to deal with that than women. But I'm sorry guys, but men are out of the subject because we are talking about abortion right now, which happens through women.
Yes.
They become addicted to marijuana, coke, and other major drugs because of the rape.
To deal with the stress and anxiety and postpartum and PTSD and everything else you just mentioned.
And that with the baby will fuck the baby up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've heard so many stories about a baby coming out addicted to all these fucking drugs because
crack.
Guess what? And the mother can't have an abortion, so she has to follow through with that shit, and the baby might even end up dying. Let's talk about
what a sick world we live in.
Where you're putting your religious beliefs over somebody's fucking entire body.
Yeah.
Ranging from their mental all the way down to their inner parts.
Yeah. Or leaving kids in a foster home because, you know, the mom died, or who knows. It's just they don't think about it all the way through. Like I've always said, and I've said this for a while, but those people who want to tell someone what they should choose to do when that situation occurs, if they have to fucking go through with the whole pregnancy and have the child and they can't do anything with it after that, why don't those people who are fighting for it take care of the fucking kids then?
I think we even talked about that part of it too. Because they don't want to. They want to force that on somebody who cannot.
The rest of the people like us who have a job.
Keep that baby, or I wanted to abort it, and you were like, no, you need to keep that fucking baby. Are you going to take care of it?
Of course not.
It's not your kid, right?
Exactly.
That's exactly argument they're gonna put up. Well, that's not my kid. And then they're gonna complain about, oh, well, all my tax money is going to people on food stamps. Oh, all my tax money is going to people on You didn't want us to have an abortion. The fuck?
Well, it's also in a way trying to racially divide people, because they're trying to make it in a way where it's like, I guess maybe in a way like racially and a class, like class division. Less that are well-to-do have abortion. Colored people have abortion. This is what they're trying to also make the narrative. Along with the fact of you being a woman, mind you. So it has to go with the flow of being a minority. You don't have a dick, so you don't have a say.
Over 700 women die per year in the U.S. from being pregnant.
Yeah.
Freaking four out of 5 of the deaths are preventable if she would have just got an abortion.
Looky there.
And I heard a story the other day on Reddit where this woman refused to get an abortion no matter how many times the doctor told her to. And the baby came out to where it can't talk, it can't eat, drink, move, or anything without assistance, and is wheelchair bound. I'm sorry I'm calling it I just can't remember the gender, but it is wheelchair bound. So basically that mother is stuck for the rest of her life, basically.
Yeah.
Feeding and maintaining this child. And the father dipped out because he was like, hell no, you should have gotten an abortion. So the father dipped out, so she's doing that shit by herself. And you know, like, you basically just lost your life.
Yep.
Because of your fucking religious beliefs.
Now, we also have to be fair that, you know, if these choices are made by these people as they wish, then what ensues. You know, I mean,
the thing I want to ask is, if you're saying, oh, I freaking slept with Donna Dancer Prancer and I ended up getting pregnant, what about you, homegirl? I know you slept with Donna Dancer Prancer too.
So right, you think there should be some accountability on their own part.
Yeah, they just didn't get fucking pregnant. Mine was an oopsie daisies. My coochie was just too good. I'm just playing. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, and then men saying that you can get women pregnant and she might not tell you.
Well,
so you might have you heard of that doctor who was not fucking his patients, but he was like giving them his cum when they went to a fertility doctor?
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's at least, I think, 98 kids out there, or grown-ass people. 98 grown-ass people share the same dad, because that dude was freaking putting his cum in other people, in women who were having infertility issues. Because it was a religious belief, you know?
Oh, God.
If he put out his kids to go out there and be God's word or some shit like that, they would like speak God's word, God's warriors, I think that's what it was called, God's warriors, and then they would be in the government, like they would have all high paying jobs.
Oh my God.
High government jobs. Have you heard about that shit?
No.
Let's fucking look up Dr. Klein. I think that's what his name, Dr. Klein. And he was a fertility doctor from like the 1980s plus. So all these women went to him and they were having fertility issues, and he put his cum in them. And then this girl went on 25andMe or some shit like that and found out she had like 14 siblings, and each year the number keeps on growing. And then they had 14 of them had to sit down with this doctor, and he was like, okay, well, where do you work? What's your occupation? How much do you make? What's your religious belief, and all that shit. And then she later found out that it was because of this Christian church shit, where he was an elder at, by the way. He was an elder at this fucking church. And she found out that it was just because of some God shit. I believe in God, by the way, guys, but I just can't remember. And it was just fucking crazy. Like, you think that nigga shouldn't have been aborted? He should have been aborted. That's sick.
See, that was one of the points I wanted to make during this podcast, is about maybe some people who were born where you're just like, ooh, I wish some people's choices would have been different.
Like all those serial killers out there and shit.
Yeah. Exactly. Like the people who go around robbing, stealing, killing people and all, you know. Like why were they, what the fuck, why did they need to be born?
Hold on. I'm about to have, look, this is my choice instead of a baby. My cute little baby. You know what I mean? Y'all can have dogs that are like babies. You see how cute he is? He just loves his mommy. Y'all can have fucking dogs like that instead of kids you can't take care of. Right, Mally?
I prefer cats. They don't need,
After picking them up, I would prefer cats too. That motherfucker's heavy.
I love cats because they come looking for me when they need me, not the other way around.
Freaking, I even got him a pool. That's how much I love him. He's my baby.
See? This is why it should be a choice. No, I'm just kidding.
He is my choice.
Oh, goodness. Well, look, I mean, the matter is quite deep. And it's very, 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 very difficult to have a discussion with people about a woman's choice. I mean, at the end of the day, it should be a woman's choice, and it's not to criminalize. I don't think they should criminalize women for having to make these choices like this, because if it were men the other way around, I speak for men. Hello.
We got a message from this man. It says religion can't be the liability mechanism for our choices.
Well, I agree. We have to assess on our own, like, and I think with those people and those relationships that are having children, or whether they be alone or with someone, you know, that should be their discussion. And I don't think it's for everybody else to have a pick at or a comment about.
Mm-hmm. This guy is exactly right. And I'm not sure if he wants me to speak his name on the podcast. That's why I said this man.
Give him a shout out. It's cool. I mean, this is what we're here to do.
If I freaking say your name wrong, I'm so sorry. Orion Denmond?
Oh, yes. Yes, from Resurgence Worship Assembly.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
I like his output, and if he's from a church, I might be attending that church.
That's the church I'm going to be working with.
Really?
Yes.
I just like his religious beliefs won't be pushed onto me, and that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to see. So shout out his church, Tommy.
Resurgence Worship Assembly.
Mm-hmm. And his name is Orion Denmond.
Yes, Orion Denmond. Shout out. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the comment. Much love to the church. Can't wait to work with y'all. I'm ready. Ebony already knows.
Mm-hmm. And I like him. I like him way better than Kunta Kinte over there.
Shut your mouth, you old. Keep it positive. Keep it positive. The way we overcome negativity is with positivity. That's the way we
put my mouth like he can't. Freaking old big old tooth motherfucker. His mama should have aborted him. I don't even give a fuck. He talks so much shit to me. Like, I really don't give a fuck. He talks so much shit to me.
I told you to wait for me on that conversation. I told you to wait for me on that conversation.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that dude, like...
See, because then I could have recorded it. And I would have been like, you blasphemer.
But I need to stop cussing because I will get in trouble.
Yeah, that's
But,
right. You have cussed all through this thing.
Just like you said, religious beliefs should not be pushed on us for our choices.
True. It's a fine line. It's a very touchy subject with a lot of people. I get that. However, it's not everybody's fucking opinion that matters.
And Orion said, and the church must discern the differences between spiritual issues and social issues.
There's a big difference. Big time difference. You can have a whole heart full of God, but there just is a science behind some things, like you said, Ebony, where you have to think about how this life is going to go for either you or this child, and it has to be really considered. It really needs to be considered, because it's like, do I lose my life? I've come to this point for this child, or does this child go for me to keep going forward? You know, I mean, damn, what a choice. It's not.
I'd actually like to have a sit down with this man, Orion. I would like to have a sit down with him and talk, because he is a pastor, right? Is that what they're called?
He's an archbishop.
I don't know what that is, but he's like,
he basically gave Fortune his title.
Well, freaking, he knows about God. He teaches about God. I would like to have a sit down about him because of his religious beliefs. And I know he's with us on that.
We can make that happen.
We can make that
happen. Definitely.
And we can have like a little extra little segment on it if he's willing to talk to us about it.
I think so.
I like people like him.
Yes. An open mind frees up the ability to have a conversation.
A conversation and not an argument.
Amen. Because, you know, and the thing about it is a little bit of an evolution as a personal, you know, like, you don't have to change who you are, but we can understand how things might have to be for somebody without it personally involving us whatsoever. And it takes a lot of listening and just caring and consideration to just think about somebody else other than yourself for 2 fucking seconds in this world.
That's exactly right. Because if you're thinking, right, okay, well, I'm going to say you can't have an abortion because you're thinking about yourself. You're like, well, don't have an abortion for yourself then. But for me as a woman who's been through a lot, if I ever got pregnant by a man who I felt unfit,
don't say it, Ebony. Dude, you better not say it. I'm just kidding. You've been waiting to say this.
Have an abortion.
She's like, I will throw myself off the stairs.
Look, no, I'm trying to be professional about it because my jokes are not for everybody.
It's one that sticks with me, though. I'm sorry.
Just kick me a little bit, Tommy. Just make it look like an accident.
Like, it's okay. But punch me a few times.
Freaking get into fights on purpose. But, like, I just believe, like, all these congresswomen, too, are putting God before the health of another human being. Like, we all can't walk on water, honey.
True. But let's wrap it up for tonight. We're gonna hit on it later. We had a good time. I think we really hit what we needed to. And hell, give them some love. Take the love in. Thank you, first of all, Ebony, for being on video tonight.
Oh yeah, I had to drink a little drink.
Well, whatever it takes, we want to see more of it. But let's say our goodbyes for tonight, and we will see y'all next week.
Say bye, Mally.
Bye, Mally.
Bye. Oh, my little cute baby. I need to stop picking him up.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. We will catch you next week, like I said, with Jay and myself, DJ Tom Tom here. Maybe it'll be at 9, maybe it'll be at midnight again. We'll see. Love y'all.
Hey, that's our show for today. Thank you all for tuning in and keeping it raw with us. Till next time, everybody. Love y'all. Peace.